Your current pain is not your final identity. This video was inspired by Liam Sanger. Shout out to you, young man. You know, Liam, I was 16 years old like you, one real skinny, picked on like crazy. Everybody picked on me. At least it felt like it, you know. As you can see, I'm still a skinny man. I'm sure people still make jokes about me. As a matter of fact, I know they do. They don't say it to my face these days, but they still make them. So, they'll probably always make those jokes, okay? What I really wanted to say to you, young man, is that right now, you might feel pretty powerless. And the real reason is because you don't know what your power is yet, okay? As time goes on, if you decide to stick around, which I hope you do, okay? If you continue to focus on yourself and all the things that you can control about yourself, and I'm only talking about the things that you can control, okay? You keep on working on your skills and your passion. Keep making these YouTube videos, okay? These are things that are going to benefit you real good in the future. You know, when it comes to the acne on your face or feeling lonely and all that kind of stuff, for some of us, that's just part of growing up, okay? Now, people were real mean to me. I used to have this one little son of a bitch, right? He used to call me chemo. It was short for chemotherapy, because that was around the time when I first started shaving my head. And I didn't do that at first for any sort of fashion. I didn't want to get head lice. We were poor as shit. And it seemed like head lice is attracted to poor people. Now, I know that people that are not poor also get it, but it's a stigma, right? You get head lice, you're poor, you know. So I started shaving my head for that reason. And I actually thought I looked pretty good. Turns out, what I thought about myself and what other people thought about me were two different things. And so this little son of a bitch would always, every time he would see me, he'd walk past, he would say, trash, chemotherapy, cancer boy, all that kind of stuff, right? And it fucking sucked. And back then, I didn't know anything about identity or, you know, personal development. I didn't know anything about, you know, any of the kind of shit that I learned over the years, right? I was a 16-year-old kid. Actually, at that time, I was 15. 16, I actually quit school because of me letting the way that people treated me affect me, right? So anyway, that's how it was growing up for me. I was always picked on. And I will tell you, looking back at myself, right? One of the reasons why they picked on me so much, other than the fact that kids are sons of bitches sometimes, you know, like there's something about human nature and some people that making someone else feel small for some reason makes them feel big. Okay. But I let other people's opinions about me decide who I was. And as a result of that, and I'll keep it fairly short, okay? As a result of that, I didn't finish school and ended up taking off and going to Job Corps, right? Didn't finish Job Corps. And then when I was old enough, 17, I wanted to go into the Army, didn't finish the Army, okay? The way that I let people affect how I saw myself when I was younger really caused a whole lot of different things, you know, in my life going forward. And so what I want to encourage you to do, okay, I want to encourage you to keep your focus on the things that you can control, okay? You can't control anything about acne, right? I mean, sure, you can do the typical things that people do. What would be a probably better focus, okay, is to work on how you see yourself on the inside, how your self-talk is, how you communicate with yourself, okay? I went through the acne and all that kind of stuff too. Looking back on things, right? I want you to remind yourself that this is a part of some people's teenage years. Some people have heavy acne, some people don't. You know, when I was younger, everybody goes through chicken pox. I don't know if they still do anymore these days, but we went through chicken pox, right? Everybody got chicken pox. But for whatever reason, when I had them on my face and I still had like a little bit of the scarring and stuff like that from when they were not contagious anymore, and I was going to school and stuff like that, I was hiding my face and I was doing all this, shit like that, right? And those habits right there, hiding your face or dropping your shoulders or you got your hands in your pocket and all this kind of stuff right here, this body language right here, especially for us, tall, skinny motherfuckers, right? This makes you a target. I know you're trying to hide yourself. I mean, maybe you're not consciously doing that, but subconsciously, you're trying to make yourself smaller. You're just trying not to stand out. Okay. That makes you more of a target than if you were to just, you know, carry yourself with you don't give a shit if people see you, right? As a matter of fact, if you're tall like me, I'm 6'6". I don't know how tall you are, Liam, but you're a skinny guy. So it would be more beneficial for you and your future moving forward and your mental health if you start to practice things, especially when you're by yourself. Okay. Self-talk is so important. Say things about yourself that you want people to see in you. Okay. And don't say it to other people. You look like an asshole. I'm saying when you're talking to yourself, when you're thinking to yourself, you need to think better things about yourself and you need to ask yourself quality questions about yourself. Okay. It's very important that you do this. If you decide that you want to stick around on this earth, which I hope that you do, okay, but you got to stay tuned in order to find out if the things that I'm saying are true. Okay. You develop a habit of complimenting yourself, of saying things to yourself that you want people to see in you, that you want to have in your life. I always use this example because I used to smoke cigarettes, right? Your brain's like a loyal dog. So if you ask yourself certain questions, your brain is going to go and fetch that answer. You will believe something. We tend to believe things if we hear it enough times. Okay? So like I always say, if I was to tell you today, hey man, you're ugly, you might be like, no, I'm not ugly. I'm good looking, fuck you, right? But if I was to say it to you every single day for a year, you'd start to believe it. Okay. So, and your voice is the voice that you hear more than anybody else's in the world. So if that's true, even if it's a lie, even if it's not true yet, even if you're faking it until you make it, what you're doing is you're using your imagination. This thing that they tried to make us stop using when we were a kid, grow up and stuff like that, that's actually our superpower. It's how we visualize, it's how we create images in our mind, and we find ways to be able to see compelling futures. We use our own minds to do this. Okay. So, what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to practice sitting with yourself for a little bit each day. Make this important, okay? I would say to do it first thing in the morning. Make yourself a priority first thing in the morning, okay? Because if nobody else is going to value you, you got to value yourself first, okay? And if you do this, not only will you heal yourself, but you'll be able to help other people, okay? Because you will be carrying a different type of energy into the world, okay? But what I want to encourage you to do is to sit with yourself every single day. 5 minutes, maybe. I'd say give yourself more. You're worth more. You're worth way more than that. But maybe you can only do it for like 5 minutes at first, right? So sit for 5 minutes and you sit there and you say to yourself, why am I so powerful? Why am I so powerful? Why do people feel so attracted to me? Why do people want to come up and talk to me? Why do people want to share their good news with me? Why do people feel comfortable enough to come up and tell me the hard times in their life? Why do people like me so much? Okay. And the reason why that works, like I said, is because your brain is like a loyal dog. It will go and find that answer. Like I was saying before about quitting smoking cigarettes, that was always my thing. I used to always be like, man, why can't I quit smoking these cigarettes? Well, my brain, like a loyal dog, would go and find that answer. Well, you can't you can't quit smoking cigarettes because you suck. You can't quit smoking cigarettes because this, that, or the other reason, right? So when I learned to ask myself a better quality question, how can I quit smoking cigarettes and how can I enjoy it? Why am I going to love this so much? My brain, like a loyal dog, went and found those answers for me. And I just kept on going with that. I started looking around at the rest of the world, the rest of other things, and things that I wanted to change in the world about myself, change about myself in the world, right? And I was able to quit smoking cigarettes, a little over 6 months alcohol free, quit drinking. The thing that I've been working on the most is maybe controlling my mood, my anger. I don't have any anger towards people in real life, really. Not so much anymore. I've made amends with everybody. And I've cut out the people and things in my life that I don't need to have in my life and things like that. But I still get triggered when I see bullies or I see, like recently, if you're ever on my channel, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to watch this video, but there's the one time when I kind of had to say some shit to some people, and I don't like to be like that. And I think a real man, is fairly grounded and steady, and so in that moment, I allowed myself to come out of pocket and say what I felt like I needed to say. But what I'm trying to say to you, Liam, is that if you stick around long enough and you really hone in on who you are as a person and really see how great you really are and what your strengths really are, and you start to find out where you might have some weaknesses and you start to really work those out and make those strong and things like that, and you just continuously focus on yourself and take care of yourself, I'm telling you, if friends are something that you want, you're going to be seen as someone who's, constantly always got something going on. You're going to be attractive because they're going to be like, how can I get some of his time? He's always constantly doing something. He's always working on himself. He's always doing something that he likes doing, his craft or create whatever it is that's creative that you like to do. I don't know if you like to draw, or if you do music or, working out or whatever, but if you're constantly working on yourself all the time, you're almost always conveniently unavailable to people. And for whatever reason, people always want to get the time of a person that's kind of conveniently unavailable. You know, it's like it's like a scarcity thing. It's like, man, I need to get some of Liam's time now, right? Because you're constantly busy and you're constantly working on yourself. And the last thing that I want to say to you, okay, and this is really, really, really important, Liam. I went through a stage where I went from being bullied to being the bully. Okay. And it's an addictive thing. It actually made me a very, very mean person for a really long time. And I loved that feeling. I mistaked that feeling that I was getting out of people for respect. Okay. And all it does is it damages your inner character. Okay. And so what I'm trying to say to you is don't become like the people that bring you pain. Okay. Find a way to take the pain that you have inside, turn it into beauty, and then give it back out to the world. I'm telling you, that will make things so much more enjoyable and life more fulfilling. But you got to stick around in order to find out if this is true. Okay. Don't go checking out too early. Anyhow, I just wanted to take a little bit of your time and to acknowledge that, sometimes when you're younger, right, the world feels like you're under a microscope, and your feelings and things like that feel very, very, very heavy. But as time goes on, you become bigger on the inside, and the things that felt heavy will feel a whole lot lighter, not because they got lighter themselves, but because you got bigger on the inside and they don't affect you as much as they used to. Okay. That's true. You have a great rest of your day on purpose. All right, young man. God bless you. You and everybody else. I'm out of here.